I know being a video game player and I like online games where you're playing against other people. I really was big into MMOs. I started with EverQuest back in like 1999. Uh, Actually, that crush I told you about back then got me onto it. I didn't even, never even heard of an MMO. Logged onto that thing and I was in a big, massive. Everyone who knows EverQuest knows that their world was massive, split into zones, but the zones were massive, most of them, or a lot of them, and then so many songs. I mean, just fucking huge playing field, and then all real people playing. I was like, what the fuck? This is cool as shit. This is real people. I'd never even known of this kind of thing. So EverQuest took me for a long time. This is before the World of Warcraft days. I never got into World of Warcraft because I got all that out with EverQuest. Anyway, we like a challenge, us beings. You know, we're playing a game here, and we don't want. It's weird because everyone wants to kind of get enlightened and everyone wants to kind of figure things out. But the truth is, there's a big mass of people that are never going down that route. And they're kind of a placeholder. They're needed. They're beautiful. And they're just like you and me. And you were there once. And it feels like regular old reality when you're there, so you don't even know it, but your backdrop. And there's got to be a big mass because we like a challenge, and we like it'd be hard to get to the prize. So we're in this muddy backdrop mass, and a few of us will blossom out of that, and we have more of the reins of where the shared reality is shifting to, where we are tunneling into ourselves. Um, the backdrop people, the massive, regular cultural society, in all of its beautifulness in every aspect you can think of it, in all the levels of denseness and unawareness, just a real life hucking and chugging and sucking and fucking, you know what I mean? All that stuff, that's kind of spread out into all realities. They're everywhere, in a sense. Right? They're spread out in all dimensions. So when the blossomers dictate where we want the reality to go through our experience and through deliberate creation, the backdrop people are always going to be there for our shared reality. Always a nougat, a conglomeration of focus that are always doing their thing, helping maintain the image, the shared reality without even knowing it, and also in an incubation mode, slowly going to the point where they will crack their shell and realize there's more to this reality and open up and become a blossom themselves and help direct our reality. And we were tugging all the backdrop people with us in a sense. Not really. They're spread out in all realities because they have not in a bad sense. They have no purpose or drive. They don't really know what's going on. They're just a cork in the ocean, just bobbing, whatever. They're recycling old reality over and over again. Just recycling old news, playing with it, not even knowing that's what's going on. But that's not bad. That's part of the experience. It's a section of experience. Everything's needed. Everything's perfect. You grow and learn there, and then you crack your shell and you blossom, and then you deliberately direct your reality. And you join the ranks of the directioners of the shared reality. Now, if two blossoms are blossoming and they want different kind of realities that are too different, the universe accommodates that. The trains just separate. They go off their own path. The backdrop people are spread thin everywhere. So they're still going to be there for them too, in their reality and how their reality it wants to go. All the blossoms that are kind of near that reality that want that, that want that. And if we can, I think we keep the shared reality for as long as we can, as long as it works, before the reality splits off. But it happens seamless. No one even knows it. It all happens perfectly seamless. Hmm. There's no shame in being a backdrop. Besides, you don't even know when you are one anyway. You only know of that kind of, and these are just words to describe a certain thing, but you only know of that kind of thing after you've risen above it. It's like, why are you going to be afraid of death? If, say, death was a real ending, say it was actually an ending and we all got it wrong, and when you die, that is it. You don't even exist anymore. Why would you care? You're not there to feel anything, to know that you're not there. It's like when you go to sleep, and it's one of those good sleeps, and you wake up, and it's been 5 hours, but you don't remember any of it for like 3 seconds. You didn't exist. You didn't even feel it. 5 hours went by. You had no idea. It was no time. That's what non-existence will be. You don't know if no one's there. You could not exist for a billion, trillion times a trillion, cajillion, and other big ass numbers I don't even know, times another billion. Throw in that one, and then come awake, and you would not know you were there for the, you were not existing for that long. You weren't existing. There's no one there to know anything. There's no fear for that. It would just be like waking up from a dream, like, that 5 hours felt like nothing. You know what I mean? There's no fear. So even if that was real in that sense, you still shouldn't be afraid of it. You once it happens, you don't know anything. The only thing would be is the means of death. We would like to go. We don't want to suffer. That would be the only thing. We like to go in our sleep, or maybe some people do want to suffer. There are consciousness here who have been through reality enough, time and time again, that they're on a different level of playing. They like the pain. They like the dissonance. So it's like connoisseurs. Like, what do you like? But I kind of went off on a tangent, forgot where I was going. Reality creation and blooming out of the backdrop mud and becoming a directioner of the shared reality. But don't feel locked into that, because if your reality is something you want different, then you will go and create your own reality with all the people who feel somewhat the same. It all works perfectly, all the beings. And then there are beings that don't give a shit. They just go in any, they don't even care. Put me in any reality, I'll do something with that shit. I'm sure there's all kinds. So I know, being a gamer, this was where I was going. I know I would like a challenge. I don't like an easy. I like games like DayZ or something. I like games that you gotta have some, either build up some skill or be around the block for a while to know all the ins and outs, or it's really hard to get the prize, and so there's only a group of like 5 people in the whole gaming community that really got. That is the kind of thing I like, which is why it's hard to figure out this reality creation thing. It's tricky. We're wound up in our own selves. It's very tricky. But that's cool. That's cool. So we're all here doing this thing, and it's like the best game in the world. Best game in existence. Best game in ourselves that we could come up with. And then there's Esther, who says thoughts, well, any thought that's been thought, and thoughts are just the structures that create our existence, but any thought that's been thought keeps on thinking, keeps on expanding and growing and thinking. So you could just look at us as actual thought. Someone probably thought of this whole universal dimension, human, animal, live, not live, dark, light, this whole thing. It was a thought, like, this would be a cool game, wouldn't it? Or something like that. They're just pure thought, maybe. But once that thought gets going, we're still the thought that's going. It just keeps going. Think of like the Big Bang, or we all know that. The Big Bang. But if you think of it like that, if you snapshot it and try to cage it and limit it existence and say that it started, the Big Bang, we're still the Big Bang. Think of the Big Bang with an explosion and it burns out, and then you get all the little curly cues of the smoke and the little rocks and shit going out. Well, we're those little curly cues and rocks. I think I heard that from like Alan Watts or Terrence McKenna. I don't know. We're still going. The Big Bang's still going, and it's us. You dumbasses. I'm sorry. And it didn't start. It didn't start. We never start. Either we never started and we never end, or we've been going on so long that it doesn't matter. We've been going on so long that if it does end, we'll be like, whew, goddamn, I never thought that was going to end. We just don't give a shit anymore. Like, we've been going on for so long, we can't remember if we began or not. It's either that, or we know that we never began and we always just exist. It used to be hard for me to wrap my mind around that. Now it is not. Which tells me I have jumped timelines drastically. Because thinking that we never started and we never ended, it doesn't dissonate with me anymore. It just feels, obvious. Like, duh, come on. And so we're waiting for all the backdroppers. No, we're not waiting for them. they're part of the machine. The machine is the wrong word. It gives the wrong kind of vibe. Kind of like a clean, sterile doctor's office or something. I don't like that. But organo, electromagnetic, gestalt, whatever. Us, the universe, the usiverse. I would like to keep going on this path. I know my reality that I'm creating is the reality that I'm in right now. Everything's shaking up. Things are changing. So many new information is coming out. So many realities are splitting off in every direction because there's so much shit going on. Everyone's just like, shit, yeah. And all the realities are going in every direction. But I know which direction I'm going. And it's an earth where eventually there's no borders. Because we're stop being manipulated, we're stop being stupid. Eventually, the people realize, the mass of people realize they're the power, and not any government. If the mass, we got the internet. It's all it takes. If the mass of people realize, if the masses of Earth realize, we have the power, and then it's all over. It's all she wrote. It's gonna be messy. Most births are messy, and painful, and kind of hectic. This will be too. And it already is. It's happening now. We are in the midst of it. And I'm a hermit. I stay in my own thing. I don't watch the news. I don't watch anything. But you can't get away from it. It still trickles into me a little bit. But I know that it trickles just enough for what I need to know to make my thoughts inform my reality the way I want. And it's going that way. I can just see things happening. A borderless society where... Now, this is down the line, obviously. It's not going to be a year from now, 20 years from now, but we're moving in that direction. We're starting to realize it's kind of the same thing. It's like if you'd have some life experience and you've seen a situation, either it was you or a friend or a movie or whatever, but someone's been doing something wrong for a long time. Maybe at first they didn't know it was wrong. Wrong's not the right word. Someone's been doing something that they didn't know. I don't want to use the word wrong. That wasn't beneficial to them or something like that. But they didn't know. Doing it forever. Maybe it becomes a tradition. I don't know. But then they figure out that this is not really the preferred way. But they don't change because they're embarrassed. They've been doing it for so long. They don't change. They just keep doing it. But that kind of actions are coming to an end. We're coming to a mature enough mind to where we can be like, okay, I was wrong. Okay, I did it that way, but I didn't know. So now I'm doing it this way. You know, we didn't have that maturity before. We would just write it out. You know, sweep it under the rug. Don't tell mom and dad. She did it. I didn't do it. We know we're stuck in a weird thing. It's a frame of thinking, a frame of mind that comes from the birth of not knowing who you really are, coming and being birthed into this kind of existence. It's just natural. That passing the buck. I think someone said we'd pass the buck all the way back down to Adam and Eve, and then to the snake, and the snake would be like, the snake wouldn't say anything, and the snake is smart. You see a twinkle in his eye. Anyway, this is a long one. I forget kind of what it was about. Reality direction, and I just like talking about it. Sometimes I'll just sit and I'll get the urge to, I'll get an idea, and then immediately I'm like, I want to post it. And I have to post it fast because the idea will go away. If I take too long from the phone, it's like, no, come back. But actually, just like anything else, the more I do this, the more that doesn't happen. That's like I get better at it. And I have a belief that that is the case. You can get better at anything you can put your mind to. Anything. You want to get better at farting, you can get better at farting. You know, just put your mind to it and don't quit. You have all kinds. You could fart any kind of fart you want. Any kind. Someone wants to say, do the burble kind of fart, and you'd be like, blah, blah. I got butt control for days. Anything you want to learn. So if I want to learn to focus on my inner energies and see what that does for me. If I want to learn whatever. I want to learn to manipulate people. If I want to learn to love unconditionally. Anything that you honestly want to learn. Earnestly. I mean, generally. Really. And maybe sometimes you don't know what you want to learn, and you do want to learn stuff and you don't even know it because you're just unaware. Or you're like dense backdrop. But, or it might even be that, could be other reasons, but it doesn't matter. I forgot what I was saying. If you really earnestly want to learn something, and then you take some action to it, be it whatever, ever a little action. University just needs a little nugget to grab onto. Do some action. If you want to learn to love unconditionally, you don't really do anything, at least look up on your phone how to love unconditionally. That's some action. And if it's coming from a genuine place, it gives you a little bit to latch on to help you out. Or at least do some action towards it. Action is actually important. I'm coming to learn this through my experience. I've made some action, and if it turns out to be a mistake, it still was a pump to get things going, right? It was a pump for the universe to grab, to get some flow going, for the universe to play with you. If you don't do any action on the things you say you want, and do you really want them? It's almost like a natural thing. You don't even need to think about it, because you know when you really want something, you don't even think about it. You make action for it. You know, you're drowning, you need some air, you swim to the surface. You make action for it. You know, you fall deeply in love with someone, you go talk to them. It happens. If it's genuine, it just happens. You don't even have to think about it. Maybe shyness and other things, factors could play into stuff, but I'm just using analogies and different scenarios to get a point across. So don't get your panties in a fucking twist over there on the other side of the internets, please. Right? 16 minutes. I think this is it for this one. This was a nice one.